The story of Prophet Yusuf, Joseph, A.S., a beautiful tale from the Quran. First, Yusuf's dream and the beginning of the story. Prophet Yusuf, now A.S., was the beloved son of Prophet Yaqub, Jacob, A.S. One night, Yusuf had a strange dream in which 11 stars, the sun and the moon, were bowing down to him. He told his father about the dream. Prophet Yaqub, A.S., being wise and knowledgeable, understood that this dream was a sign of a great future for Yusuf. However, he warned Yusuf not to tell his brothers about it, because they might become jealous of him. 2. The jealousy of Yusuf's brothers and the well. Yusuf's brothers were very jealous because their father loved him deeply. They plotted to get rid of him so they could have their father's attention. One day, they asked Yaqub, A.S., to let Yusuf come with them for an outing. Initially, Yaqub, A.S., refused, fearing that a wolf might attack Yusuf. But after much persuasion, he agreed. Once they were far away, the brothers threw Yusuf into a deep well and left him there. To deceive their father, they stained Yusuf's shirt with animal blood and told him, "Father, a wolf ate Yusuf while we were not watching. This is his shirt." But Yaqub, A.S., knew they were lying. He was heartbroken but remained patient, trusting in Allah's plan. Third, Yusuf is rescued and taken to Egypt. A caravan of travelers stopped near the well to get water. When they pulled up their bucket, they found a young boy, Yusuf. Seeing his beauty and innocence, they sold him as a slave in Egypt. The buyer was Aziz, a high-ranking official in Egypt. Aziz took Yusuf to his house and told his wife, Zuleika, to take good care of him. He said, "Perhaps he will be useful to us, or we may adopt him as a son." Thus, Yusuf grew up in Aziz's household and was given wisdom and knowledge by Allah. 4. The temptation of Zuleika and Yusuf's innocence. As Yusuf grew older, his beauty and character amazed everyone. Zuleika, Aziz's wife, fell in love with him and tried to seduce him. One day, when they were alone, Zuleika locked the doors and tried to force Yusuf into sin. But Yusuf, A.S., being a pious man, refused and said, "I seek refuge in Allah. My master has treated me well. I will not betray him." He ran toward the door, but Zuleika grabbed his shirt from behind, tearing it. Just then, Aziz entered the room. To protect herself, Zuleika lied and accused Yusuf, saying, "He tried to harm me." A witness in the house suggested, "If his shirt is torn from the front, then she is telling the truth, but if it is torn from the back, then he is innocent." When Aziz saw that Yusuf's shirt was torn from the back, he knew his wife was lying. But to protect his honor, he told Yusuf to stay silent. 5th, Yusuf is sent to prison and interprets dreams. Despite being innocent, Yusuf was sent to prison to prevent further gossip in the city. In prison, he met 2 men who both had strange dreams. One saw himself pressing grapes for wine, and the other saw birds eating from his head. Yusuf interpreted their dreams. The first man would become the king's cupbearer. The second man would be executed. Later, the king of Egypt himself had a dream. 7 fat cows were eaten by 7 thin cows, and 7 green ears of grain were replaced by 7 dry ones. The king was troubled and searched for someone to explain the dream. The cupbearer remembered Yusuf and told the king about him. 6. Yusuf becomes a minister in Egypt. Yusuf explained the king's dream, saying, "There will be 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine. You must store food during the good years to survive the famine." The king was so impressed that he freed Yusuf and appointed him as the minister of finance in Egypt. Allah had finally elevated Yusuf from a slave to a powerful leader. 7. Yusuf's brothers come to Egypt for food. During the famine, Yusuf's brothers came to Egypt seeking food, but they did not recognize him. Yusuf tested them and secretly kept his youngest brother, Benjamin, with him. When they returned home without Benjamin, Yaqub, A.S., cried so much that he became blind. On their second visit, Yusuf finally revealed his identity to his brothers and said, "I am Yusuf, your brother, whom you threw into the well." They were shocked and ashamed, but Yusuf forgave them. He said, "No blame will be upon you today. May Allah forgive you." 8. The reunion with Yaqub, A.S., and the fulfillment of the dream. Yusuf sent his shirt to his father, Yaqub, A.S., and told his brothers to place it over his eyes. As soon as Yaqub touched the shirt, his vision returned. Finally, Yaqub and the whole family came to Egypt, and when they entered Yusuf's palace, his parents and brothers bowed before him. At that moment, Yusuf, A.S., realized that his childhood dream had come true. He said, "This is the fulfillment of my dream that I saw as a child." Lessons from the story of Prophet Yusuf, A.S. 1. Patience and faith. Yusuf endured betrayal, slavery, and prison, but never lost hope in Allah's plan. 2. Avoiding sin. Despite temptations, he remained pure and did not commit any sin. 3. Forgiveness. Even after all the suffering, Yusuf forgave his brothers instead of seeking revenge. 4. Trust in Allah. No matter how difficult life becomes, Allah's plan is always the best. 5. Wisdom and leadership. Yusuf's knowledge and planning saved Egypt from famine. Conclusion. The story of Prophet Yusuf, A.S., teaches us that even in the darkest times, faith in Allah brings light and success. It is a story of struggle, patience, and ultimate victory, showing that good always triumphs over evil. This is why Surah Yusuf is known as the most beautiful story, Ahsanul Qasas, in the Quran.